Come on.
It is a fabulous Friday in the neighborhood. If you don't know what I know, you better ask somebody because we are grateful to be here this morning. And y'all see, baby, we added another a beautiful face to the platform this morning. We are so excited to welcome Natashah Khan. Natashah,
Good
how are
morning.
you this morning?
I am blessed and I'm happy to be here. That intro just had me jumping in my seat earlier. So
Yes, won't he do it?
We had to come through with a brand new one for season 9. And so
love it.
thank God we found something because it's always good to have a little bounce to your
Uh-huh.
step in the morning. And so, people need to get them a theme song. Whenever you feel crazy, get you a theme
That's it.
song in your head that you can be like,
Exactly.
okay, all is well with me. So Miss Phyllis is saying, welcome, Natashah. And
Good
Cynthia
morning.
Lewis, good morning, good morning, good morning. Miss Doris, good morning. It's good to see you this morning as well. Miss Phyllis, good to see you as well. Listen, we are super hyped and excited. Miss Patricia, welcome, 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 and thank you for being here this morning. We know that if we got a guest, y'all know we are bringing something hot. We are bringing some fire.
Mhm.
And so what we would
Always.
like to do, because tomorrow, I don't know if y'all heard us talk in the chat. I mean, us chatting about it, but the sisterhood chat, which was founded by Reverend Pat, is going to be on tomorrow. And the beauty of it is Natashah is going to be on there as well. So Reverend Pat, I want you, if you don't mind, to set it up so they kind of know how you came about it, what we're going to do tomorrow, and then you can introduce Natashah and she can, we can have a conversation.
Oh my goodness. You're talking about the birth of the sisterhood chat.
Yes.
That's all God. It is an extension of Life Beyond the Bible Facebook group. That's what he led me to do. And just over the last few years, if you have an audience, pay attention to your audience. And there was a need that God revealed to me that women, Christian women, or even non-Christian women, needed a space where they could talk about things and feel safe. Things that we don't normally go to our pastors about. We don't go and talk to our church members, even if they're close friends. There's certain things we don't discuss. But those things must be addressed with honesty, frankness, and transparency. And the Lord said, use your past as a foundation, because there's nothing for me to hide about my life and my childhood and the things that I experienced. And so the sisterhood chat was born every second and fourth Saturday. It's nothing formal. It's just sisters supporting sisters, period. I only have one, there's only one, I could say, rule that I have. What is said in that room, in that meeting for those 2 hours, is not to be shared publicly, period. It's not to shame a sister. It's not to put her on blast. If you're not there to pray and support your sister, that's not the place for you. Don't honest talk about challenges that we face. This is not the chat for you. And Natashah, of course, is a bonus daughter for me. I saw Natashah years ago being interviewed by Angela. And in fact, it was an evening interview. And I saw the interview and I immediately said, I want to talk to her. And let me tell you, she has a wealth of information. And thank you too for being so transparent about where God has brought you from. We don't want to have I don't want to have a conversation with somebody ain't never been through anything. Your testimony is powerful, and your testimony is needed, and your story is needed, and your deliverance is needed. So Natashah, and it's Natashah's thing tomorrow. I'm just going to sit back. I'm studying trauma bonds so that I can be fully aware of what we're discussing, but it's on her, period.
And I thought it was the other way.
Hey, huh?
I was like, wait a minute.
You see her face. Nope.
You know, the beautiful thing about Natashah that I have found, and Natashah and I got connected through an anthology that I did with Rhonda Turner. She had a group, and so one of her good friend, Nefertarius, who connected us together. And so from there, you know, Natashah's just been it's just a beautiful expression of how people deal with things and what they go through, but how you don't have to stay there and you can overcome it. And I love that, you know, her delivery is so it's so good in that, you know, you don't have, you know how sometimes you can listen to people and you kind of like, yeah, and then okay. But when you listen to Natashah and when you it is like I told her, it's so relatable. And it's so, you know, how sometimes you can say, like, I can't imagine you've been through that. And the reality is people have been through some drama, some trauma, some things that will make you clutch your pearls and scream and get up on the bed and hide. But God, you're still here. You're thriving. You have a beautiful family. You know, you are in practice helping other people. And I just love it because I feel like we all need someone in our life that can speak life into us and that can anchor us, but at the same time, not make us feel like we're being judged. Because for a lot of people, you don't share things because you don't want to feel judged. You don't want somebody to make you feel like that was dumb. You know, that was stupid. Even if in your head, you're like, why would you go and do something dumb like that? The reality is all of us are guilty of making decisions and being in situations that we never thought we would be in. And that's life. So Natashah, we're talking about how amazing and wonderful and great you are, but please share with everybody a little bit more about your background so they kind of know who you are.
Well, first of all, you guys have so many nice things to say. I don't know if I should be smiling. I don't know if I should be crying. I don't even know how I should be feeling right now. So just thank you so much just for your kindness. Let me see if I can shorten it. I was born and raised in the Caribbean, came to the United States when I was about 12 years old. I experienced a lot of psychological, verbal, physical abuse prior to coming to the United States when I was 12. What was normalized in my culture and normalized in our environment and our upbringing, I quickly learned coming to America that it was not normal to be beaten down verbally and physically. I love something that you just said just now about, you know, my transparency and then not judging people. I grew up in a family system that you're constantly criticized and ridiculed and judged about your life decisions. I literally had a conversation with a family member just before the new year telling me how I'm still not as successful as I could be, that I could be doing better. Right. And you're just kind of like, are you serious?
Them families for them kids.
Right. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, okay. Something that God revealed to me that day was I don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore. I don't need to. I love that bell, by the way.
I know, right? The bell is kind of perfect.
It's a squirrel moment for me, but I love that bell. He revealed to me that I don't need to prove anything to anybody. And I, for a really long time, have been trying to be understood by others. And God says, I don't need you to be understood. Right?
Yeah.
He created.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, he creates me to understand people. Like, I'm very empathetic. I can listen to your story and I can understand you, but I don't need to be consumed by needing people to understand me. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. This happened on New Year's Day, and I'm like, okay, God, because
When
with
you
my
get that understanding.
listen, with the need to be perfect, and then he telling me that I don't need to be understood, and I've been working all my life to try to do that. I'm like, I've been doing it all wrong this entire time.
And you know what? The crazy thing about it is we really could end the broadcast right now, because that right there all by itself will free somebody. When you understand that I don't owe you an explanation.
I don't owe you nothing.
I'm here for the glory of God. And so whatever you think, whatever you say, whatever your feelings are, whatever your opinions are, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yes, you know, you are.
You like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't.
But if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't.
Well, in speaking about trauma bonds, Sparkle, what you said, that I had that mindset toward friends, but I struggled with that with my family.
I know, exactly.
I struggled with that with my family.
Because, they taught you all your life, blood is thicker than water, and you got to stick with your family, and your family going to be the only one there, and don't nobody love you like your family. Well, I have seen some people love me a lot better than you ever.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. When I got sober, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I still say today, they're my pseudo family. I say today that Rev Pat is my spiritual mama. And I know that causes some hurt feelings in people, but these are strangers. These are people who don't even live in my backyard and have showed up for me in a way. You ladies, just how you started this introduction, saying all these nice things about me. I'm over here looking around going, who are they talking about? Because they ain't talking about me.
And I ain't said mine yet. I'm setting mine aside for a moment.
It's just crazy that how the people that you were, the family you were born into and you grew up with, because those are the ones I have spent most of my life striving to help, have them see me in a good light. You know what I mean? But come New Year's Day, God says no more. And in 2026, it doesn't matter if your family doesn't see you. And then when Rev Pat talked about, not eating at that table anymore, like you can get up and leave. When I tell you, that's going to make me cry. That was such confirmation for me, because I have struggled with needing to honor my parents and honor my family in a way that, while trying to still hold a boundary so I'm not being disrespected and being used as a doormat. And then getting this confirmation, like, you don't have to do that. Honoring doesn't mean you get to sit at the table and have someone walk all over you, right?
Let's talk about that. That part right there. Because, they quick to tell you, if you go to the word says that you're supposed to honor and obey. Okay.
But for how long, right? For how long and to what extent?
Let's use it but it's ironic to me how people take the word of God and make it fit for whatever they want to make it fit. They don't read above. They don't read beneath. They just take that little portion that, I'm going to shout on it. Come on now.
Now, you guys can correct me, but I do believe that after that verse, it says, parents, don't bring your children to wrath. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But how often have you heard that?
Rarely do you hear that. Rarely do you hear people mention that.
And I've struggled with that for years. So you get to continue to judge me, ridicule me, criticize me, put me down, speak to me any way that you want to. And I'm a grown adult, right? I'm not a child. I'm not depending on you. I am not financially responsible for me. Like, I'm over here doing my best, living my best life. I had to say to my family the other day, I am the happiest I have ever been. And I'm not married. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have a fancy house. And then I had to hear, well, you're renting, you don't own a home. I've owned 2 homes. I've been married twice. I have had the house, the picket fence, the dog, the whole thing. And I was so miserable as a person on the inside because I didn't have a relationship with God, and I didn't know God, and I didn't allow God to
To
come
be
into my
God.
life, to be God, absolutely, and realize that he loves me in a way that there is not 1 ounce of flesh in this world could ever love me. But it has taken me, I will be 49 in March. It has taken me 49 years to get here because I am stubborn and I am a slow learner. And I often get in God's way.
But you
Oh,
know
I
what the
get
thing
it,
about
Natashah.
it is, the thing about it to me is, it's something inside of us that craves the love from certain people. You know, whether
Yes.
it's your parents or your children or your
Or your
spouse or
partner.
your siblings, you crave that love from them. And the reality is, if people have been caught up in trauma bonds, if they have been dealing with their own drama, if they have felt like they were not loved or appreciated or criticized, everybody can't bounce back from that and be productive and still be empathetic and still be loving to someone else even when they didn't get it. And
Correct.
so
Yes.
we want sometimes what is not meant for us to have, and we want sometimes what only God can give you. We run and seek it and search it and try to find it in every other place or person or thing, but you're empty because it's not meant for them to fill that void.
And that is what breeds addiction. That what you
Yeah.
just said is what breeds it. So we have these set of primal needs. We need as young as babies, we need love, we need food, shelter, love, affection. We need to be nurtured. We need guidance. We need to feel safe and protected, both emotionally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
So when those needs aren't met, what you're describing, Angela, is this innate yearning for that love from the people that we come into in the world, right?
Mhm.
When we come into this world, God brings us into this world, and we are dependent upon whomever our primary caretakers are to teach us about God, to teach us to learn on how to be in relationship to God, how to have that intimate relationship. And unfortunately for a lot of us, and this isn't to fault parents, this isn't to fault caretakers. So anybody that's out there that's listening, I'm not here to blame anybody,
Right.
but you don't know what you don't know. And we
Mm-hmm.
pass things on from one generation to another, right? And so now that child's needs aren't being met, you're continuing to do to them what's been done to you, and you're not learning to do things differently. And we just keep passing on these generational curses.
Yeah.
And the further away that as we grow, the further away from God we get.
Yep.
We lose our true identity in God, and now we develop what I like to call a pseudo identity based on the experiences that we have. And just to kind of round out what you said, we now then yearn for that love so much, we are settling for breadcrumbs. Whatever little you can give me,
You
I'm
just
going to
take
take
it.
that, because better
That's
a little sliver or a breadcrumb is better than nothing. And I don't say that to judge anybody. When I left my home at 18 after being physically abused, my first husband was emotionally neglectful, emotionally abandoned, would emotionally abandon me in the relationship. And he would emotionally keep distance from me when he was not doing at his best. In my sick mind, he wasn't beating me. In my sick
That was
mind,
good. I mean, so
he wasn't, yeah.
So he's doing good to me. He's
He's a
not
step,
beating me.
he's a step up. He's a
Yeah.
step up from where I came from. I look back now and realize that that was a breadcrumb that was being handed to me. And this isn't to say anything about him. It's to say that what you said, Angela, I wanted that love so bad that the fact that he wasn't beating me, that was good enough for me.
But the
Yeah.
thing
Right?
about it too, Natasha, is that people will look at your situation and say, "Girl, you better be glad because you got a man who does this, that, and the other." So they externally validate
Family
what
did.
they see,
Yes.
not understanding that
Yep.
it's more to life than having a big fancy home and a really
Yes,
nice
ma'am.
car. It's more to life than that. And when you get caught up in, well, at least I need to be glad that he's not doing X, Y, and Z. No, we have to stop normalizing settling for the bare minimum and the basic. And Eliasa said, "You are so correct. I'm fighting for the entire loaf in the kitchen. It was baked in."
Because
Period.
baby, I just cooked it. So if I cooked it, you can't give me no when I sit there and labored it, You think you're going to give me the crumbs when I labor it? But I'm so glad that we're talking about the trauma. Trauma is not just what happened to you. Trauma is how you handled it inside of you.
Amen.
It's that inside that taught you, because at the time when the trauma was being taught to you, you didn't have no language to it. You didn't know what to do with it. You didn't know how to handle it. You didn't know what safety was really like.
Correct.
You thought this is how people live. Like, oh, this must
you normalize it.
Yeah, this
Sure.
must be normal. When people are sitting there cussing their kids out, like literally cussing their kids out, telling them how they are bees and you are no good this and you are like you're speaking that into them. And then when they get out in life, they're saying, this is who I am. I am a bitch. I am this, because that's what you put inside them. They didn't know to correct it. They didn't know to, oh, let me erase that.
It's learned behavior, right? People today talk about, oh, my adult child is this, that, and the third. Okay. They were raised in your upbringing. You can blame the school system. You can blame the neighbor down the street. You can blame the kids on the block.
White people.
Right. You can blame them all, right? But at the end of the day, we have a personal responsibility within our households to take a closer look. Like, I'm not saying that children aren't going to go out in the world, myself included, aren't going to go out there and find ourselves being influenced by other things.
Right.
But what are you doing in your home? Because there's a personal responsibility there as well. And from what you're describing, Sparkle, it's not, you're not breathing life, you're killing the spirit within that individual, right? And when you weaken that godly spirit that we are born with, you leave room for the enemy to come in and have his will with your child, with that human being. Right. And if that child is not grounded and centered and have a relationship with God, again, I deal with this every day with addiction. Addiction isn't just a mental issue. It is a spiritual issue. And that is something people do not talk about. Right. For those of us who sustain sobriety, you will hear a lot about having had a spiritual awakening, right? And then developing a relationship, an intimate relationship with God, because we didn't have that before. Whether that's because we had religious trauma, whether that because maybe we grew up in a household where they were atheists and they didn't really believe, or in my household, they believed in a God, but what they said God is about and how they lived, what they did was not in alignment. Right? I was telling someone yesterday, I grew up around hypocrites. I grew around people saying one thing and doing something else, which brought a lot of confusion in my life. But that is what breeds my transparency today. Yeah. What you hear and see in me, I am like that anywhere I go. And you're either going to like it or not, because I grew up around people pretending to be one thing when they're not. So
say this real quick, Natashah, to address something that we're even not talking about, which is funny because on YouTube we have a lot of people who come in and they have a lot of things to say. And the reality is, when you're and Reverend Pat, I know you go in and you try to, censor it and all of that. But at the end of the day, you're on here because you need to hear this word. And although you put all these things in a comment, it is because you've experienced trauma and you feel like it's okay to come on to somebody's platform and say negativity, but you're the exact person that we're talking about because you've got a trauma bond that you can't release. So you want to spew evil and hate and ugly speech and different things like that on other people. But that is because you're dealing with something and you don't know how else to express yourself. So you feel like it's okay to say certain things, and it's not. And so the thing about it is, we won't give you attention, but we want to let you know that when you're hurting, seek some help from somebody who will listen to you and understand where you've been and what you've been through, so that you don't feel the need to come on another platform and say some of the things that you say. You're here because you need to be here, because you need to hear what's being said. You may not realize it now, you may not understand it now,
circumstance,
but it's not by exactly. You are here for a reason and a purpose, and whether you think it's nice or ugly, or we need to be in the kitchen, or shut up, and you want to say ugly things, you can do it because people do it all the time. But if you feel good about what you do, then you need to talk to somebody and seek some help so that you can become a better person internally who doesn't want to do that, because I guarantee you, you don't want it to happen to you. If it's
Yeah.
happened to you in the past, you shouldn't pass it along. You should stop the book and figure out, what do I need to do to heal
Come on,
from the trauma bond
intentional.
I've experienced?
Amen.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. And we ain't gonna
There's
give it a lot of attention because
Thank
attention
you.
is exactly what it needs.
Thank you. That's why
Angela,
no,
you slimmed it up real fast.
we're not gonna give it any attention. Natasha, I wanted to ask you something, because we're all created in the image and likeness of God. So we are automatically, internally, whether acknowledged or not, connected to Him, and He instituted the family. So I'm sitting here, I'm listening, I'm thinking to myself, for those of us that did experience trauma in our homes, whether it's from one parent or both, I think why it takes us so long to recover is because if it's a parent, it is a spiritual bond ties us to them that keeps us wanting what they're never going to give us, wanting what we're never going to receive. Because of how we're created, that is the one relationship that is more traumatic than a lot of them. Because even if I was abused sexually, oh, can we say that on Facebook? Even if I experienced it, guess what? It's even worse if I can't go to a mother or a father and pour my heart out.
Mhm.
If I'm in a situation where it's domestic violence and I don't have a parent, a mother or a father to go to, because that bond has been broken in some way, it still finds its way into my life in different areas. Does that make sense? That's how it's coming to me.
To me, 1,000%, I agree with that.
But it takes something. And for me, what it was really crazy, the first step toward my healing was I heard someone say that those people that have hurt you, and particularly it was a conversation about parents, they did the best they could. And what we have to do is stop expecting them to do more than they can, except they did the best that they could, maybe it was because of their background, their growing up, whatever. But the first step in understanding how to release that from you is to understand they couldn't give you any more than they had to give. And what that did was kept me. Now now I understand. I can't keep looking at this person and wanting something they can't give me. I got to accept that this is who he is and love him anyway. Am I explaining that correctly? Does that make sense?
1,000% to me, and for people that are listening, and I'm just now reading your comments, so I know understand where Angela was coming from. Let me make myself clear to everybody out there that's listening in cyber world. I'm the kind of person that I'm going to share you my experience, and you're either going to like it or you're not. I'm like caviar. I'm either something you're going to love or I'm going to be something that you hate. If you hate me or you don't like what I'm saying, it's because you are not listening carefully. So to tie into what Rev Pat just said, and I said it earlier, I am not here to blame anybody, and I'm not here to blame parents. I love my parents. I have an upcoming book that's coming out, and I talk about my relationship with my parents in the book. And I gave my parents a heads up that despite everything that we've been through, you are my parents. God gave me to you, you gave me to each other. I love you. You didn't know what you didn't know, but that is not going to stop me from expressing how the relationship affected me and how it impacted the decisions that I made in my life moving forward. That is nobody else's fault but my own. I have to take responsibility for that, but it's rooted in something. So just because I'm identifying what it's rooted in doesn't mean I'm placing blame. We live in a world where we want to point the finger at someone and say, it's your fault. it just happened, because the reality is my mother comes from trauma. My father comes from trauma. It is not something they ever talked
Yep.
about, because in our culture and in the generation in which they came from, they pretended like they just kind of grew up in a bubble and everything was fine. It wasn't until I got later into my 40s, I learned that my parents are human beings and had trauma themselves. They just hid it from their kids. So what you're saying, Rev Pat, 1,000%, I had to understand that it's not that they didn't love me. They didn't know how, because the generation for them didn't give them the love or show them the love they needed. And if we go back to the beginning of time, it's where it started. Somewhere along the lines when, between Jesus and Adam and Eve, we have a disconnect in humanity where we didn't learn on how to embody Jesus. We didn't learn on how to embody his love and to walk in the image of him. And so therefore we are passing on this dysfunction.
Yep.
Right?
And
So
it keeps going.
I agree with you. It's spiritual. There's a spiritual tie, because that's the first relationship. The very first relationship that we have is with our mothers in the womb.
Yeah.
That is the first relationship for every single boy, girl, man, whatever you want to say. That's who the first relationship is with. So we are tied to that, absolutely, on a spiritual level. And so we can't help but innately yearn, right, to want to have that approval, want to have that relationship, and want to have that love. But we have to come to terms and come to the reality that people are just not qualified. They're not equipped. They just don't know. And when I realize that you're just not capable to meet my needs, I am free from carrying resentments. I am free from, because I have to tell you, I used to quote unquote hate my mom. And she and I had a conversation about this the other day. I don't hate her anymore. I love her. I love her. And I actually hurt for her because she's 70 something years old and she has not worked on her trauma. She has built a life
and neither
on
will
top
she
of that
probably.
trauma. Probably
She
not.
probably won't, because
right?
you can't ask people to do what they refuse.
They're not
Like
ready.
some people
What they're not
refuse.
capable of sometimes. I'm
They
gonna
don't
get
have
Kelly's
the
comment.
capacity or even the mindset to process the change of heart.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Kelly's comment is, it took me a long time to realize that manipulation is also a form of abuse.
Yes.
I had a very manipulative relationship with my mom, and I had to step away for 20 years.
Wow.
But you stepped away for her. That step away
you have
was
to
not like,
yourself.
oh, I don't want nothing to do with my family. At that point, she had to say, I'm going to get saved. I need to be safe, because every time I walk in here, I am not safe. I don't.
Come on now.
My heart start beating. Like, it goes back to that heart. Like, we got to learn how to treat this heart, because you only gonna get this heart. Like, you can get a heart replacement, but we know what that takes. But I'm saying that heart in the inside, because if she would have stayed for those 20 more years,
she would have continued to endure that. She would have continued to endure the suffering and the pain that comes with that manipulation. And I love the fact that Kelly highlighted that, because I think when people hear abuse, they think something that's aggressive, invasive, and or intrusive. And in reality, that is not just what abuse is. Abuse is any single experience, a one-time incident or an ongoing incident that leaves you emotionally with emotional discomfort. In the clinical world, we call emotional discord, but it's emotional discomfort. If you're still emotionally tied to an experience of your past, that comes from emotional neglect, comes from emotional abandonment, not just physical neglect and physical abandonment, right? You can have two parents intact, but if you've got a parent constantly telling you you're no good, you're this, you're that, you could do better, you're always failing, and always pointing out the negative, while they might have the best intentions. My mother used to always say, it is not what you say, it is how you say it. And ironically, while that's from her,
but the caveat to that, as much as we say about people who speak to us and say, oh, you could have done better, or you got a B where you should have got an A. I don't understand why, you don't apply yourself. But on the same flip side of that, when people emotionally abandon you, when they don't talk to you, when they don't give you hugs, or they don't say great job, or they don't, when you're silent, when you're like, hey, I did a great job. Okay. And they
Yeah.
was dismissive. That creates
That has
something
effect.
in that child as well. So you
Correct.
gotta be really, it's a thin line, because as much as you may have said, oh, well, I don't cuss my kids out, I don't talk crazy to them. But if you
Mhm.
don't ever say anything, if they come in and say, hey, I had a great day, and you say, well, you know what, I got a headache right now, so just go on in your room and be
Mhm.
still, go in there
It's the
and watch
same
TV,
thing.
and you never connect because you're emotionally distant. That's
Yes, ma'am.
another level of abuse.
Abuse.
And, and,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Abuse.
even though we
It
don't want
is.
to admit that, because you think, I'm not doing anything. I haven't said anything to you. I didn't make you feel bad. Yes, you did, because you weren't there. And as
Yep.
a
No,
child, you don't know how to process that. So as an adult, from years of never having anybody, you didn't feel seen, you didn't feel heard. And when you become an adult, you start blending in because you feel like, if I do too much, they're not going to love me. They're not going to accept me. So I just want to just sit here and not be seen or heard, and just hope that,
And that affects the next relationship that you
the next
encounter.
election.
Yep.
Pat?
And then the
Uh,
next one.
well, I'm going to save mine for tomorrow, Natasha, but I do want to say, Angela just hit on a point that we very rarely talk about. I had both parents in the home. My parents were married 52 years. And I did have a parent who never, ever, ever acknowledged anything that you did. Anything. It was as if you were there. I wrote a note to myself one time, and it said, my father is in the home, but he's gone, if that makes any sense. My
Mhm.
father is in the home, but he's gone. Because there was no emotional presence there. There was a physical presence there all of my life, but emotionally, no. And I think that's something that we don't talk about. We always talk about the parents that are in the home and how great it is to have two parents. But you can have two parents in a home. And if you don't have one, thank God I had a mother that was balanced, and she was a Christian woman who knew how to love her children through their childhood. We'll talk
Amen.
about that tomorrow. A mother that loved us through our childhood and how we and before we go, let me ask you something. I have 8 brothers and sisters. In our childhood, all of us in the same house. We've never been separated. We've never been one living with an aunt or a grandma. No, we were all in the same house. Tomorrow, can we discuss how 9 kids could be in the same environment and at least half of them come out
Had a
with a
different
totally different experience? Totally different.
There,
So different. Go.
there's still trauma there. They just experienced the trauma differently because it has a lot
They
to do with
experience it
stages. Yeah, it has to do with stages of development and how old they are. So my sister and I are 4 years apart. And when we tell stories of our childhood, it is like night and day. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't experience that. I said, yours is called denial. I said, because you won't accept the reality of what it is you experience. But her
Mhm.
perspective, her mindset on how she was seeing the experiences there's a 4-year difference in development mentally. Perception is a lot. Also, to how children, I think Dr. Sparkle said it earlier, on how we are receiving what we're experiencing, how we are taking that to heart. Everything that you ladies have talked about today ties to addiction. Addiction is not about
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol. Addiction is about
Not.
emotional disconnection, right? Trauma causes emotional disconnection within the individual, which then leads to emotional disconnection in relationships with others. If I had the opportunity to evaluate your other siblings, you will find that there's emotional disconnection with them as well. And how that pans out in their relationships will, although it looks different, they're still reacting from a trauma place as well. It didn't miss that.
That's so
Whew.
good. That's so
Y'all
good.
have to get registered for tomorrow. I'm
I know.
telling
I'm
Yeah.
you.
going to say, honey, if you haven't get it, let me see, who is this? Oh, Kelly. She said, after the 20 years of separation, my mom wrote me a letter apologizing, but
Oh,
also
that's
taking
so
responsibility for her
beautiful.
actions. She asked for forgiveness, and I granted her that. When she passed, we were back to having a good relationship. Whenever one of us started going backwards, we would remind each other that we have grown and we don't need to travel. I'm sorry,
Down
bumpy road
that bumpy
anymore.
road anymore. When you forgive,
Forget.
and you can stay. I'm sorry, when you forgive, you forget, and you can stay. We aren't going to go back there. Stand
stand
on
on
your.
your forgiveness.
That's
Amen.
right.
Stand on.
No, that
That's
Stand
it.
on
part
your
right
My
Amen.
God.
forgiveness.
there. She said,
That's
stand
such a beautiful
on
thing to
your
say, to
forgiveness.
stand on your forgiveness,
That
because
right
you know
there.
what? The reality is it takes maturity and it takes growth to get to that
Yep.
place where you say, I can forgive you. I don't like what you did. I don't like how I felt with what you did, but I forgive you because you were coming from, like you said, Reverend Pat, you were doing the best that you can with what you had to work with. And although it didn't,
Mm-mm-mm.
it traumatized me and it put me in a situation, I still can choose to forgive. And then I have to stand on it.
And
So
stand.
remind me tomorrow, Rev Pat, to just touch on that forgiveness piece, because a lot of
I
people
love that.
experience trauma. They like, well, I can't forgive. Forgiveness is not about the other person.
It is so
Forgiveness
about you.
is about you and you releasing yourself of the emotional burden that you carry as a
Whew.
result of what's happened to you. So I don't want to
Yes.
go over in time, but Rev Pat, remind me, we'll bring that up tomorrow and talk a little bit
We
more
would,
about
we
that
would
forgiveness.
definitely, because that's a word right there. Stand on your
A
forgiveness. That's
whole
it.
word,
Mhm.
A
a whole
whole,
They have
word.
to do a
because
sermon
they
behind that.
forget that word inside of there. It said give. Give and it shall be given to you.
Amen.
Like that, when I give it to you, I'm not coming to take it back. I'm giving you my
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness.
And
And
move
what
on.
has happened, that past right there, I'm not looking back there. It's over. But Natashah, like always, I'm gonna tell out a secret, y'all. Natashah has been my therapist for a long time that I don't tell the whole world about. But her anointing,
You've done a great job.
her anointing, like that girl read me my own book in less than 30 minutes. Like I was like, God, like that angel, I thank you for being so many people's angel of survival. Like
She is.
people think
She is.
people, because therapists, the right one, y'all should develop a bond together. It's the right therapist should be also your friend, your home girl. Like your therapist, you should be able to tell them the real and not be scared. Oh, what they gonna say, what they gonna think about, how they gonna. Your therapist should be your girl. Like, girl, let me call my therapist because you tripping right now. Like, you should be able. That's the right therapist to me. Like,
But you have
everybody
to be
has.
open to that, Sparkle. A lot of people aren't open to actually opening themselves up to even share that level
Yep.
because you want to be healed, but you don't. You're
Yes,
comfortable in this situation and you feel like but what if I get healed? Then what happens after that?
because
And
I don't
so
know how to live a healed
That's a
life.
whole that's a whole other word. That's a whole other
Oh,
conversation. That's a
baby,
part two.
Yes, I don't know how to live that healed life, but
Yep.
that's a part
but
two.
I just want to scream out to you, girl, living that healed life. Woo! It is so much. Woo!
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
and I'm
telling
telling you, you
you.
can see it all over Sparkle. And I love that you were instrumental in that. And so I'm gonna just put it out there, Natashah, because you all are doing the sisterhood chat tomorrow. We come back again on Tuesday. If you're available, come back Tuesday and we'll do a follow-up to talk about maybe some of the things that were, or if you can't come Tuesday, any day next week,
I've
just let
told
us
you
know.
from day one, and I told Ref Pat this, so I'm going to make a
Whatever
public
you need.
announcement. Whatever you ladies need from me, I will make the time for you guys because you guys are truly amazing. So absolutely, count me in.
Yes,
I don't,
Yes.
Angela, you know I don't like to wake up early. So the fact that I'm waking up early for you ladies,
baby, let me
And
tell you,
looking
when I
good
tell
too.
you,
And
when
it's
God,
for real. She
Papa
don't.
often says she's God's favorite daughter, but I'm gonna tell you that, honey, God loves all of us because all of our guests tell us that. Like Mr. Dale said, I don't get up for nobody but
For
y'all.
nobody.
So you are, and we appreciate it and we love
We
you all for
do.
yes,
We
yes,
do.
yes.
That's why you have to stay with follow Reverend Pat on the daily devotion so you can continue to fall in love with us. I know it's just something about that addiction. It's the addiction of falling in love with us. So follow her.
Rejoice,
Sign
we
up
can't
for
wait for tomorrow. Miss Reverend Pat, will you let everybody know for those who may
Have
not
not
be
registered.
registered how they can get
If you, if you have not registered for the Sisterhood Chat, all you have to do is go to the Life Beyond the Bible Facebook group. You can look on the event tab or the featured tab. Once you're registered for the entirety of 2026. You do not have to go back and re-register. It's that easy. It's that simple. And you're good. And get on your pajamas. But if you're wearing your pajamas, you better have on a bra if you're going to be on the camera. We won't see them we don't need to see. You can come comfortable in your pajamas with your coffee, with your cocoa, whatever it is. And that's it. Nothing.
what time does it start?
10 a.m. to 12 noon standard time. 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And
Okay.
If there are women that need to stay over, I will stop it and still stay on. It doesn't matter. That day, those Saturday mornings to the afternoon are for the sisters, period. For me. So that's it. That's all. I gotta
come on and get your chat on. I'm telling y'all, because sometimes you don't know what you need until you show up and get it. And then you realize, wow, I needed that.
I need it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go. Let's go, God. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Have a fabulous weekend. And in your having, don't forget that you believe God. You believe God. Do you believe God? We believe God. Believe God. We will see you with Reverend Pat, and we will see you back on Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Have a blessed day, y'all.